Quilters, I'm Pam Heller from AccuQuilt, and of course this is Kaye England, and we're here talking about the grid system, because people sometimes go, what the heck is a grid?
Well, they just gloss over when you talk about grid,
So this is a beautiful example of a block that that Kaye made. Kaye, tell us the name of this block.
Gretchen.
Gretchen.
In the history of blocks, you'll find it under Gretchen. Yeah.
And this is a block that our viewers could make with any size cube.
Absolutely.
You're going to need that corner companion, right?
Yep.
And when we talk about the grid, we want to talk about how the block is sectioned.
Right.
And I tried to tell quilters we need to find the smallest standalone square. And really, the way you're going to know this is this little square, these two half square triangles don't really stand alone. It's this actual whole big unit.
Yes.
So this is actually a 2x2 grid or a 4-patch, which is what the cubes are based on. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's a 4-patch and a 2x2 grid, 2 across and 2 down.
For the entire block, exactly.
Yes, yes.
But if I isolate a quarter of that block, it's a 9-patch.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So this is really a 9-patch if it stood alone. If I redrew all my lines, that's how your math is determined.
Right.
So I would decide, if I wanted to decide what the whole thing is, I just pick one.
Right.
If he's 2, this is 6.
Right.
2, 4, 6.
6.
If he's 6,
they're,
12. So you have to be able to look at these, and this is where I think so many piecers just go, well, which book can I find?
Right.
This is graph paper.
Yes, you have to look at it.
Buy yourself some graph paper.
Yeah.
Go to the local store. Because if you can isolate and quit worrying about what the actual element is, but look at half square triangle, big half square triangle.
Right.
Well, his twice as big as this one, so that tells me that the sum of that is 3 elements. I don't care if that's 1, then it's 3. If that's 2, it's 6.
And the way I like to describe it is some pieces of the block take up more than their share of the grid. Have you ever been on a plane and the guy next to you takes up more than his space?
Yes.
Okay. So these two elements together.
Good idea. That's a great way of saying it.
Way more than this square. But again, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
Absolutely.
3.
Yep.
So it's super simple math. You just have to be patient enough to look at it and see. So this block together could be an 18 by 18
Absolutely.
grid.
Yeah, because he could be a 9, 9, 9, 9.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you made this, if this is a 2-inch finished square, because I assume you use the 8-inch cube,
yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so if you use the 12-inch cube, this is going to be a 3-inch finished square. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
6 and 3s. Yeah.
Yes. And so now...
So he's 6 and he's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So depending on the size of cube you use is going to determine how big this block is. Could we make this block smaller? Could we use the 4-inch cube?
Absolutely.
And it would be 1 inch, and then it'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely. Yep.
So think
Yep.
about that, quilters, that you can make any kind of grid. You can make 3 by 3, 4 by 4, however you want to.
And they can also make this with the Odette die.
Yes.
Because, and you're like, oh, what is that? Now, we know that because Odette is 11, the math gets a little squirrely, but you don't even have to think about that. You just have to say there's one of those.
Yes.
This guy is twice of this guy.
Yes.
And that fixes, it takes care of itself when you're working with something like the bob where the elements are explained on it.
Right.
But if you're working with your cube system, you get to decide what size you want that to be. And this is an archive block.
Right.
I mean, this block's been around, gosh, I don't know, probably since the 30s. I would say close to 100 years this block's probably.
When you were a child?
Probably. When I was teaching back in elementary school, back in Little House on the Prairie. Yeah, that was it. But so is this guy.
Right.
So if we take this guy like here, this is really a bow tie block.
It is.
The old bow tie block, which I think is in, isn't that in corners?
It is in corners.
So if you owned the cube, this would be in corners. Now, I don't have the element in the Odette block for that.
Right.
But this is why you want to know that you have, if you already own the cubes, what lives in those cubes that lets you build borders for the blocks that live on your bobs.
And this is a perfect example of how bobs and cubes work together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so if you want to pull that over here.
Yeah, this is great.
We're going to talk about this because of all the things, again, all of our videos are recorded so you can come back and watch them. This is what you need to learn. So Kaye is going to talk about her process. I'm going to get it out here so we can see the center really well.
Perfect.
Yeah, look at that. Thank you, Kenyon.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the 4 outer blocks first, okay? And here are some of the elements for the inner block.
They're just some pieces that I made in case I wanted to change the shapes.
Yes.
See, I could change those and make them like, and they're not, so I could make this part of that corner there,
Right.
so.
Right, just different colorways to show you how to use these.
And then these elements to show that if I wanted to reverse these, like we were talking earlier.
Yes.
See how I could have put these 4 here, but now this was done with the Odette die.
Right.
So this is the finished 11-inch. These 4 were done with the book elements. So whether you did your 8-inch cube,
Right.
or whether you did specialty rulers,
Right.
or you used your traditional calculation, that's what these were. And then you're going, well, how'd you?
Right, because these finish to 12 inches. This center block from the Odette finishes to 11. And all of you in your quilting head are saying those numbers don't match. But Kaye is brilliant about this. So talk about how we're going to use it.
I say a little bit lazy.
Yeah, a little bit lazy, a little bit brilliant.
I wanted to see how would I put this together, and what I love about having different size numbers. And instead of you guys going, I don't want something that's 11, I want something that's 12. Well, anything that's 11 can be made 12 when you sash it. So I sashed the 11 to 12.
And now it matches.
And you're going, oh, well, then what'd you do here? Well, this 12 fits this 12. Well, what did you do here? I sashed the side set triangle.
That are 12 inches.
I did not, and it doesn't matter what side sashing.
It doesn't.
Because this kicks this way. These guys all are married and fit each other. This is where I can do all that extra stuff.
Right.
So this could have been a 10-inch block that you made out of another cube you own, or another, let's just say you have another bob that you're dying to play with. You could still put that in here that was 10, sash it to 12, put your 12s, and fix your side set here.
Right. Because we never talk about this at AccuQuilt, because we have setting triangles that match the sizes of cubes. And we don't talk about the fact that you could use the 4-inch setting triangle and sash it
bigger. Yep,
bigger.
Just keep going larger. But what I love about it is I love 14-inch block.
Yes.
And most people are accustomed to 12 being the capacity you can get. Well, the calculation for cutting a side set triangle is the diagonal of the block.
Right.
So I don't care if the block is 42 inches and you can measure the diagonal, I can cut a side set triangle.
Right.
But that most people go, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
But what I love is that I can increase the sashing size. So let's say I just owned the 12-inch, your side set triangle.
Yeah.
And I made some 16-inch blocks, and I went, I don't know how to do that. I just take that 12 and I will sash it up until it fits this.
It just blows my mind every time you talk about it.
But if you look through the book and you talk about, this is where I can also take these squares that live in the block, and this is nothing but squares and triangles and squares. It's got to finish with quarter square triangles.
Right.
This whole thing is a quarter square.
Right.
And all these outside, like on some of the settings in the book, are all quarter.
Right.
The inside's nothing but squares.
Right.
I mean, and you can play with that. And honestly, I just don't think there's a book out there that's going to make this as clear as you sitting down one day and saying, I'm just going to see if I can do that.
Right.
And you start building it, because this is so, convoluted is not the right word. It looks like it's not possible. And I never know where it's going to go, and that's why I make stuff like
Well,
this.
Kate, we were talking about this earlier, and it's just totally blown my mind because we have the Go Carpenter's Wheel Bob, which makes an 18-inch block. And forever, I have wanted to put that on point, but we only have a 12-inch setting triangle. Ta-da!
Yeah.
So now I can add a sashing to
Exactly.
that.
And
then it's going to equal the size of that carpenter's wheel.
Yeah, because you really wouldn't be able to cut a triangle larger than that anyhow because of the capacity of the cutter itself.
Right.
So you need to know that I can take a 36-inch block and still set it on point.
Right.
By doing mathematical diagonal plus 2 inches, cut a square, cut it twice.
Or just use the setting triangles because then you don't have to
It's
do that.
easier, and then add some sashing.
Yeah. So today, as we're talking about that Odette block, again, you can make it obviously with your 8-inch cube. You can get the bob, the die, the block and board die, which has all the pieces you need. You don't have to pull all of the shapes out of your cube. And then if you're thinking, well, gosh, maybe I want to mix them, make sure we have 14, 15 sizes of strip dies. I can't remember now, we have so many. And starting from 1 inch.
Well, you have one for, you do.
So,
But see, where I think it's valuable too is, let's say you own 5 or 6 bobs from other, and you're like, well, I've made that block, I don't know what to do with it. Well, how about a scrap batch of blocks?
Yes.
And how about, regardless of its size, you bring them all to a common size, then decide what you're going to do. So to just make it once, when you have all that value in that you've already purchased, I'd still be working that little rascal as long as I could.
Yeah.
So
great. All right, we are super excited. Hang on, because our next video is going to give, Kaye brought some really great samples of different elements from the Odette block that she put together to make some really fun things. We'll see you in a minute.